We got a barn burner last night, folks, and it took 2 overtimes to decide this contest between the Clippers and the Kings. The pace was grueling in a back-and-forth affair, and it was shocking that the visitors could keep up on the second of a back-to-back on the road. It had a little bit of everything, from fast breaks to threes to debuts of new players. So let's break down how these two teams combined to score the second most points ever in the history of the NBA. First off, Kawhi Leonard was absolutely sensational. He made his first 5 shots and 14 of his first 16, and their offensive sets weren't helping him much on most of his shots. He had to do all the work himself. They ran him through the left block in the first half by abusing the much smaller Herter with the easy jumper, and then putting Harrison Barnes through the spin cycle and uses the dribble jab with the left foot to get Barnes off balance before turning over the right shoulder for the little fade and the foul. The Clippers' attack centered on utilizing the corners to take advantage of defensive rotations. As Paul George comes off this pin away, Mason Plumlee cuts down the lane. LA knows the help will come off of Russ since they'll ignore him behind the arc. They instantly go to him, and instead of taking the bait, Russ pauses for a second. Someone please tell me why De'Aaron Fox is jumping out at him here, and Russ turns this into an and one for Plumlee. Watch how they continue to use the corner as a point of attack. With the drag screen for George, it's set towards Westbrook's side, knowing his man is going to sag way off. PG gets deep into the paint, Barnes must bump down to Plumlee off of Russ, and the Kings do X out here, but Barnes is too late as Russ gets another assist and the Clippers get one of their 26 threes in the game. Filling both corners means the defense has to be stretched as far as possible, and when the Kings started doubling Kawhi out top, the Clippers were ready. Good spacing across the perimeter, aided by Trey Lyles making a mistake here. He needs to see that Monk was already at the left wing and should have been sprinting the other side of the floor. As a result, there's no way Keegan Murray could ever get from one corner to the other in time to stop this Batum three. The Clippers outscored the Kings 26-18 on three-pointers, which in the modern era should guarantee a blowout win. And the best way to generate open looks is to get middle penetration. This box closeout is on the wrong side and forcing Batum's man on the weak side to rotate over. Barnes is supposed to close to the corner, but you can see he's not leaving the hottest guy in the gym, and they get another open look. Now let's look at how the Kings try to keep pace with the scorching play of the Clippers since they were the visitors and on a back-to-back. And if you want to be a visitor to your favorite team's next game, then you must download SeatGeek, the best app to find tickets to any sporting event, concert, or the theater. With just a few taps, SeatGeek will scour the internet for the best deals out there, giving them a grade so you know what kind of value you're getting. They're rated #1 on Trustpilot amongst all major ticketers, so you can feel secure that your tickets are legit. Best of all, you can save $20 off your first purchase by using my code BBALL. So head over to SeatGeek now and you can enjoy all your favorite NBA teams live and in person, which must have been off the hook if you were at Crypto last night, as it looked like a pinball machine with the ball flying around the court like it did. The Kings did a ton of damage in transition, scoring a whopping 41 points in the fast break, and they also capitalized big time on the Clippers' 25 turnovers. Murray does an excellent job blowing up this pin away, and Morris thought George was going to curl in the lane, and it leads to the deflection and dunk as the Kings continue to hang around midway through the third. Russ did play well considering he just joined the team, but like we pointed out in my last video, he has a problem with getting his shot blocked around the rim, and it was great to see him finish a drive like this at full speed, but he does struggle at times with these, and on this blown layup, it allows Murray to push the ball quick. Kawhi wanted to pick up Sabonis here, but he's got to realize the ball is the most important thing, and dear Lord does Murray make them pay. While filling both corners does stretch the defense out maximally, it also leaves you susceptible to the fast break, as 4 Clippers are flattened out along the baseline on this PG block shot, and Monk and Fox are 2 of the faster and more dynamic players in the league, and they let us know about it here. Speaking of Monk, the dude went off for 45 points, and they needed every single one of them. We already mentioned the constant stream of fast break points from the Kings, and after the Clippers turned a surefire bucket into a turnover, Eric Gordon should have been sprinting back faster, but maybe it doesn't matter as Monk turns this into a nifty double pump dunk with Kawhi flying by. Monk's game doesn't get a lot of attention, but on any given night when he gets the glow, he can score on virtually anybody without the need for any type of offensive action. He's that quick and explosive. While this game was plenty entertaining and wild, none of this should have really mattered to the final outcome since the Clippers were firmly in control. On this high post split, Batum has the option of coming around Kawhi for the handoff or cutting back door. This move forces a switch and catches Sabonis way out of position, and I love how Russ attacks on the catch right to the hoop for the inside hand finish. But this might have been the beginning of the end for the Clips. The defense blasts George to get it out of his hands, and the offense is a 3-on-2 break, but Russ just blows the layup. Remember, with the Lakers, he was a liability in crunch time since mistakes like these get magnified. And Batum falls asleep on Monk, who had only 23 points at this point, but still should have stepped up earlier to contest, and it's a big 5-point swing. And it still shouldn't have been an issue with an 11-point lead and under 3 minutes to go, but Russ tries a foolish crossover with his man pressuring him up high, and it leads to a costly turnover. And then it was Paul George's turn. Rather than release the pressure with a pass, he dribbles towards the coffin corner and Fox does it again, poking the ball loose with his long arms. Credit for trying the old let's knock the guy's shoe off, but Fox will not be denied. The nightmare for PG continued as he picks up his dribble. Kawhi isn't open on the initial cut, but he could have just waited for him to get closer to half court to make this pass. Instead, he throws one of the riskiest passes in the game, across the court to a stationary teammate. And now the Clippers are having a serious case of sphincteritis, with Powell making matters even worse with the completely foolish offensive foul while trying to get open in the backcourt. I think Tyronn Lue's expression says it all. But it still shouldn't have really mattered as they lure the double team out to half court and the ball gets moving nicely. Although they didn't generate a shot directly, Russ does a nice crossover and notice how he gathers at the same time as he's jumping off the right foot. This inside hand finish helps protect the ball, and we have ourselves a foul up by 3 scenario. I've spent a lot of time explaining why it's better to take the foul under 10 seconds rather than try to defend a well-designed play whose purpose is to get the defense to make a mistake. Well, check what happens here. This would be a double hammer play where they send Monk across the court with 2 flare screens to the weak side corner while Fox attacks the baseline looking to pass it there. I guess Russ had a Wi-Fi glitch and just stands at the free throw line, completely oblivious to the obvious play. Powell is forced to cover for him, and it makes no sense why he dropped down to the right block here anyway. But had Russ just stayed with his man better, Monk doesn't find the opening, rise up and cold splash this 3-ball to tie the game and send it to overtime. Can you hear me shaking my head? And out of horns, they eventually find Kawhi handing off to George, who probes the defense, knowing the help is going to come off of Westbrook in the corner. You really don't want Russ shooting these shots considering how well it was working with him attacking, but Kawhi is in the way, so we get some YOLO, and why not hit the shot that should propel the Clippers to victory? Especially with Sabonis fouling out soon afterwards and leaving the Kings short-handed and exhausted. It was shocking to see Kawhi actually miss a shot in this game, but the good contest from Barnes does just enough to make it miss. And see how 4 Clippers are flattened out along the baseline again? Monk gets back into the act and takes advantage of the lack of straight sprinting by the defense to smash this and cut the lead to 2. Despite how great Fox played, with this terrible turnover and then airballing the floater from 5 feet, it felt like the Kings finally ran out of gas, and that was it. And on the last possession of the first overtime, the Clippers see yet another double of PG out by half court. I don't know why Kawhi wasn't the release valve immediately here. They kept running plays where other Clippers had to make split-second decisions, and Russ doesn't even look at the basket here, allowing the defense to reset. Again, Kawhi is not getting in position to be the release, so PG is forced to go at it against the double team, and we're headed to a second OT. In the second extra frame, PG doesn't play because of a minute restriction, which is pretty funny considering they let him play 40 minutes up until this point. But another bad miscue by Fox in the lane leads to this Kawhi jumper, and again, it felt like this was the beginning of the end. The Clippers have 20 games to get organized and on the same page, and you can see Kawhi is confused what they're running as Barnes flat out denies him the ball. So they have to rely on Powell to create something where he's just not optimal. And the Kings have to hurry down 4, catching an exhausted Kawhi a step slow, reacting to the Monk cut for the pitchback, and he hops into another 3-ball to cut this lead to 1. Plumlee can be alluring at times, looking like an expert ball handler in the short roll, but other times he can do things like this. There's the blast of Kawhi, who is forced to give it up, and Plumlee waits too long to make this pass and allows Medu to easily snag it out of the air. It didn't kill him, but on the very next play, he needs to be aware that Fox is right next to him on the catch. he foolishly puts the ball down, and this time, Fox gets right down the court towards the elbow against Powell and turns it into a little 15-footer that actually gives them the lead. However, another air ball by Fox after just about turning it over gives the Clippers a very real chance with plenty of time left. And it led to a very curious play from Lou. First off, the screen from Kawhi was so effective, Powell is wide open under the basket, but Batum isn't even looking that way despite how clear it is that the ball is supposed to go there. By the time he does see it, Metu is aggressively pressuring well, and I think this was supposed to lead to a post-up by Kawhi, but he really doesn't command position. He looks out top in confusion, and it leads to the two guys you don't want creating a shot to do exactly that, and Batum isn't even close. So that's how you get the second highest scoring game of all time in the NBA, and also a glimpse into what the Clippers can be. Stay tuned for a video on this very subject coming up soon, but in the meantime, keep your eye on these Kings. Their offense is beautiful, they don't give up, and mix those two together, and they might shock someone in the first round of the playoffs.